watching. So I guess, all right, we're going to record. Perfect. I'm good with that. You ready to go, Mr. Spann?
Yeah, we are rolling. So this is your show. Go.
All right. Welcome into a very special episode of Off the Cleat, Lake Boat Club's podcast. And I don't need to talk about the elephant in the room right now. Who we got on? We've got the most powerful man in the state of Alabama, Mr. James Spann, with us today. How you doing, James?
Now that's way overboard. I wish I was that, but I'm not. I'm just a weather guy. Just a weather guy.
That's
All is well.
that's been an inside joke. Me and my friends, it's the only guy in the state that could outrank Saban was you. So
Now, I know Coach Saban pretty well. We go back a long way, so I will defer that title to him. Even though
well,
he's retired, he's still got that position. Trust me.
yeah, I know. Just picking at you, but yeah. So we usually do this at my little studio, my home bar, and we're not doing it that way tonight. And that's why we got the studio audience out on the porch watching right now. So hello to everybody on the porch watching. They can't be in the office with me. So that's what they're there. That's what they're there for, Mr. Spann.
Boy, now how much did they pay to get into this? I hope not much.
Oh, we can't disclose that right now.
Okay, that's your business. But whatever you can collect, good for you. That's great.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna make them all buy weather radios with it, though.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Something productive.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but this group on the porch, productivity may not be their key, but anyways, man, just to get into a little bit, we got a boat club. It is now a nonprofit. We do events and stuff, so we're an outside based, group on the water, on the lake stuff, and we really we rely on what you give us and what you show us every week to like when we plan these events and stuff. So you're very connected with all of us down here, and that's one of the reasons I want to chat with you today.
So where were you guys? Lay Lake?
Yes, Lay Lake. So we are
Okay.
actually in the Shelby County side, just outside of Columbiana, where I live. But obviously, there's Lay Lake touches, Talladega, Coosa, Chilton, Shelby, and I think a little bit of St. Clair at the very top. So that's where we're at. So not far out of Birmingham.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to have a boat, but that's never going to happen because the time is precious and I just don't have the time. Maybe I'll go for a boat ride with you guys one day.
Now we could definitely
Yeah.
we could arrange that for
Somehow
sure.
it was a topic of discussion about how he came up.
Yeah, you're bleeding in. I think the studio audience is supposed to mute their mic.
That's all right. Hey, they can play.
Yeah,
Come on.
I'm fine with it too. I'm just picking at them, but yeah. But yeah, so Tom, yes, definitely, we'll take you on a boat ride. There's plenty of people down here. We got go fast boats, which really none of us have. We're pontoon and cruising people, but we would take you out on the water one day if you're ever down this way. But I guess part of it, what you just said, no time. I mean, that's kind of why we're doing this Zoom thing, which I was a little nervous about because we do them here at my little studio in my basement of my house just for the fun of it. And I was like, I don't want to do this. And you're like, I got it, man. I'll handle recording it, send you a link and all that. So, but we're doing this mainly because your schedule's so crazy. I mean, you're in between newscasts now. You're at schools all the time. So what is that like, juggling that schedule and still being here for all of us in Alabama? We need you for all this weather.
Well, I work every day from 4 a.m. to midnight, it sounds bad, but it's really not. And I got some breaks in there, but like today, I got up at 4 o'clock and I do a shift in the morning at my house where I do live on YouTube and Facebook. I write a blog post. I'm live on television on Good Morning Alabama. I do the weather on 26 radio stations around the country. And then I speak somewhere. Today I was at Salter Elementary in Talladega. I did a senior adult group at Church on the Rock in Anniston, and then I came back and spoke at Calera Elementary. So 3 talks today. Then you come back here. I'm at the TV station now, and I work 2 to 11 here. Of course, I've got to handle the ABC 3340 newscast, but you're doing more blog posts and social media lives and all this other stuff and radio. And I will never complain about the hours. I sleep every night from 1 to 4 a.m. And I always ask people, how many hours of sleep is that? The right answer is not enough, but I'm energized. I feel better now than I felt when I was 25 years old. And I'm energized. I cannot wait. I can't wait to wake up tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock and do this all over again. And it's my wish. It's my wish for everybody that they have a job like this that they enjoy. It's an absolute treat to be able to do this, to follow your passion in life. So, yeah, the hours are brutal, and that's the thing. I just don't have any time. My first school openings are now in 2027 for a school program.
Wow.
And part of it is the fact that the territory's expanded. For years, I would do them around Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Anniston, Gadsden, but now in the new world, digital, social, there are no boundaries. I do schools in Georgia. I was at Foley Elementary, which is basically Gulf Shores, last week. I'll be, let's see, tomorrow I'll be in Tuscaloosa. Thursday I'll be in Fort Payne. The bottom line is with this, I just try and focus on Alabama, even though I'll do out-of-state schools. The territory's expanded, but it's a joy. And as long as I'm in good shape physically and mentally, I'm all in, all in.
So you didn't, little thing you didn't bother to tell us how old you actually are now in that little
I'm
statement.
68, man.
68.
Listen, I'm strong as an ox. I mean, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
And what happened? I honestly thought I was physically dying like 10 years ago. I had no energy. I just felt horrible. And so there's a little gym right across the street from the TV station here. And our son trained there when he played baseball at Spann Park High School. And I thought it was just for athletes, but they had a regular section, and I got involved in that. And to this day, that's a big part of what I do. If I don't do that, I won't live much longer on this schedule. So the physical exercise is critical. I go to the gym 3 days a week, and it's brutal. I'm doing burpees, box jumps, wall balls, sprints. I back squatted 200 pounds the other day. And I couldn't back squat 200 pounds when I was 20 years old. And my legs are strong as an ox. And when you're in good physical shape, your cognition is good, your mental ability. And to do what I do, you've got to be sharp. If you call out a wrong street during a tornado warning, you got a real problem here. And the minute that starts to go away, that's when I'll go away. But I have no intention of stopping anytime soon.
So when you identify the wrong barbecue joint, it's time to retire?
Yeah, no, I'm done. I mean, it's just time to go eat some barbecue or something.
Yeah. So I do got a question. I got a little bit of a technology question, but right before that, so like, how is that? Or do you just, because of your schedule, you said your Gulf Shores, your Georgia, and all that, has that travel over your life? Is that what's got you so in tune with the geography and mainly like the roads and landmarks in Alabama? Like you're so in tune with those. I've seen you call individual streets out, but definitely, secondary county roads all the way up to everything else. You know where that stuff's at. So how did you learn that?
Yeah, well, I've been doing this here. This is embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. I don't care. Since 1978. That was the year I started doing weather on television in this state. And doing this for 47 years, speaking in schools every day, you learn this place. You learn the geography. You learn the culture. You learn the people, you learn the microclimate, and it's in my head. I don't have to have a map. And most people you watch, they're calling out names off maps. I don't need a map. I mean, I can close my eyes. I can see the Walmart. I can see the Dollar General. I can see a barn. I can see a landmark that will help people identify where the tornado is located. And that's crucial. And I think that's one good thing about staying here for most of my career is that I've got a pretty good grasp of the geography and the people and what people expect from me when the weather's bad.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. You had the famous thing a few years ago where you called out the old booby trap in Walker County. You got a lot of social media buzz on that. But I mean,
but everybody in Dora and Sayre and Bagley and Summerton, they know where that is.
Yep. It's a landmark for
I didn't think anything. I didn't think anything of it. What's weird? They sent me a Wesley's booby trap shirt, and I did not take that home to my wife. I gave that to a young reporter over here. So, but they sold it. It's closed. They sold it to somebody. I think a church bought it. Yeah. So it's shut down now.
Yeah. Well, we'll get you a boat club shirt. You can take that one home. They're not quite as controversial.
I can take that one home.
So just with the technology, which you talked about being able to travel and all that with your social media presence. But I mean, I remember when I was a kid growing up in the 80s and 90s, you got a tornado warning is for the whole county. It was the whole county got the warning. Now we're at the point where we just talked about where you're naming off the barbecue joint and the local landmarks. So that technology has done so much for awareness. And I mean, you've kind of made it cool, get your helmet on, go to your safe space. Now it's kind of like ingrained in our culture now. And I think, before we get to like a couple of fun questions about weather, I mean, I think from a personal standpoint, if people live in our state, man, thank you very much for over the years ingraining that. You've saved more lives than probably penicillin has at this point, man.
Well, and I know the warning process has gotten better, but listen, we got a lot of work to do, a lot. For example, 14 years ago, April 27, 2011,
Yep.
252 people died on my watch. That's inexcusable for you, me, anybody. And what we learned that day is that, or at least what I learned, I'm not as good as you think I am. We've got work to do. And I think we learned that what I do is not enough. I do physical science. That's all I know. My first major in college was electrical engineering, and I finished in meteorology. I don't understand anything about communication, human behavior, none of that. And we're asking people to modify their behavior. So what we've got to do is blend social science with physical science. And we've tried to do that over the last 14 years. And I think we're better now than we used to be. A lot of this crazy stuff I say and do, it's based on social science studies. And we're much better now than we used to be, but we've still got work to do.
Now, I mean, you say that's your personality, man. I know no study in that.
We got
That's
work
it.
to do.
That's interesting though. You combine those two things to reach more. That's a really interesting way to do it. And I got another question from this. So we're on a lake, right? We do these events. So why sometimes like when it's real sunny outside and nice, no wind going, why would there be like major issues with waves and stuff like that, rough water?
Well, there's so many questions involved in that. When you get into oceanography, and that's a fascinating subject.
Oh,
I know that you're on a lake. I understand that, but oceanography is fascinating to me. That's not my jam, but you look at what happens in an ocean, and kind of in a way, it's the same thing with a lake. It depends on the depth of the lake. It depends on the terrain around the lake, and that's a big part of it is the terrain. You will have wind in parts of that lake you won't experience where you live, but they're having it downstream or upstream. And we've got a lot of ridges around the Coosa River. If you fly
mhm.
over the Coosa in a helicopter, and I've done that many times, there's a lot of very extensive ridges and terrain features. And those terrain features can generate a lot of wind, which creates a lot of eddies that you don't experience on the rest of the lake. So part of it has to do with the terrain and the depth of the lake. That's not an overly deep lake. I mean, it's
Yeah.
deep, but it's not as deep as some.
Yes. No, it's not. So I guess that was a buddy from a pilot of mine who was talking about air pressure differences and all that stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, for wave action, not really. That's not got a lot to do with it. Pressure differences that does create wind. I mean, that's the reason wind blows.
Hmm.
Wind blows out of high pressure into low pressure, and the faster the pressure changes, the more intense the wind as the gradient picks up. But again, a lot of what you experience there, it's got to do with the funneling effect of that terrain.
Yeah, okay. So I got back to weather, I guess. In our boat club, obviously, we live on a lake, and there's a lot of. I mean, I think Alabama has one of the highest amount of navigable waterways in the nation, something like that. There's a lot of water here. A lot of people out on the water recreational. There's kayaks, boats, etc. What would you say as far as like basic being set weather aware, weather safe on the water, and then what do you do in like a worst case scenario when these
Well,
when these
look,
supers up?
the biggest concern is lightning. I mean, let's get real.
Hmm.
I mean, goodness gracious. I'm afraid of one thing when it comes to weather. One thing. I'm not afraid of tornadoes. I'm not afraid of hurricanes. I'm not afraid of floods. I'm afraid of lightning because one single summer storm on a hot July afternoon can pack 5,000 ground strokes. It's wicked.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
I've had some close calls as a child in rural South Alabama playing outside where I shouldn't be playing outside. I've had some close calls as an adult, a young adult. And let me tell you what, I coached baseball for years. If there's lightning within 8 miles, my team is in. You can stay out here all day. My team is in, and we've got to approach it that way. And the rule is 8 miles. That I've stopped Southeastern Conference football games. I do weather support for a large college in the state. And by the way, I finished at Mississippi State. Everybody hates me. So, but I've done weather support for the
Yeah.
University of Alabama for years. And if there's lightning within 8 miles, we'll stop an SEC football game. It doesn't matter. And we get fans in the concourse. We get the players in the locker room. And the same thing for out of the open water. And it's just critical. It's critical that you can't be out there in the water with lightning popping. So the most important thing is to get a really good, and listen, spend the $10. The free TV apps are okay, but it's low resolution. You need radar scope. And I'm not here to sell apps. I have nothing to do with radar scope, nothing financially, but I use it. Professionals use it. The lightning data is real time. You can set rings, and it's excellent. You need a good quality, high resolution, single site radar app. And something like a radar scope is what you need if you're an active mariner on waterways in Alabama on these hot summer afternoons. And the other problem with these summer thunderstorms It's microbursts, these wet microbursts that come
Yeah.
along.
Hmm.
When these things collapse, you can see winds of 70, 80 miles per hour. That's equivalent to a small tornado, and that'll capsize that boat in a heartbeat. And so before you know it, you've got a capsized boat, you got lightning popping everywhere, and 30 minutes ago, the sun was out. It was a beautiful day. And the problem we have is the fact that those storms are absolutely random. We don't know, and this is so frustrating. It's frustrating as snot. We don't know at 7 o'clock in the morning on a summer morning exactly when or where the storms pop up on a summer
Hmm.
afternoon. We know they'll be there, but we don't know when and we don't know where. So, and that doesn't help people. So the forecast says partly sunny with scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorms. That doesn't help anybody. And it's a limitation of the science, and we've got to be better. And I'm hoping the next generation can solve these air mass storms. We have not. But the bottom line is get a good quality radar app, and the minute you hear thunder, get off the water. Watch that radar scope like a heartbeat. And again, when lightning's close, you got to get in. Nobody respects lightning anymore, and quite frankly, lightning kills more people than tornadoes,
Yeah.
and we just don't respect it.
So you said that app actually you can set up like a perimeter where your location is, and it'll give you alerts. Is that what you mentioned?
Yeah. And a lot of the free apps do the
Yeah.
same thing. But with Radar Scope, and again, it's a $10 app, but the data is the quality is second to none. Real time lightning data and the real time radar data that you get. It's single site, every single dual polarization product you've got. You've got everything from standard reflectivity to velocity to correlation coefficient. You can see every tilt. It's the best radar app known to man. And again, I have nothing.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't sell Radar Scope. I don't get any commission, but those guys are good.
So, what do you do? So you say you work what, 21 hours a day, 20 hours a day, like you said. So what are, besides weather and enjoying that and talking to kids and students and maybe testing cake, what is a hobby that you have besides that?
My
Do
hobby
you
is
have any?
healthcare, which makes absolutely no sense. But then again, maybe it does. My job in life is to mitigate loss of life during tornadoes. And so 20 years ago, I accepted a job in healthcare as a volunteer, not paid, because I wanted to talk with ER docs and learn how people are hurt in tornadoes and learn more about their injuries and how to help prevent them. And it kind of morphed into it's kind of like the Hotel California. You can check out, but you can never leave. So I have been the chairman of the board of a major hospital for 20 years.
Really?
My hospital is called Grandview Medical Center. We're a
Okay.
large
Yeah.
tertiary care hospital on US Highway 280. When I came along, it was Baptist Medical Center Montclair. We
Yep.
physically moved the hospital 10 years ago to Highway 280. So that's my hobby, which takes up some time, but it's a marvelous hobby. I love the clinicians in that building, the non-clinical employees. I love the culture we built in there. They saved my life. I had an odd internal situation that came up on a Monday night at midnight. They got me in surgery in no time and saved my life. So I'm thankful for that. I play tennis on Sunday evenings. That's my happy place. If you look at us from a distance, we look good. Up close, we're not that consistent, but from a distance, we look good. And I've been married for 44 years, 44 coming up in June. We've raised two boys. Of course, they're grown. But still, it's a joy to spend time with my wife. She's my best friend. We hang out, have a lot of laughs. And, and the boys thankfully live here. One was in
Okay.
Nashville for a while, but he's back. So we've got everybody here. So, having like Easter lunch after, and I do children's ministry. That's the other thing. I'm at Mount Laurel in Shelby County at Double Oak Community
Yeah.
Church. And I've been doing children's worship forever, but that's my Sunday fun. It's outstanding. I would teach children all day. That's my other thing. If I didn't do weather on television, I'd be a third grade science teacher.
Yeah, I could. You definitely see your passion for going to schools and what you post. I can see you love the teaching part. Even your weather broadcast, same thing. You'll say something that's kind of complicated at times, and then you'll go back and tell it in layman's terms. So you've taught a lot of people from childhood all the way up to even being adults about weather and whatever else you do. So you're a good teacher. I'll give you that.
Well, I don't know about that, but third grade, third grade, that's where it's at. I mean, those kids understand sarcasm. They think you're funny. They've got the cognition to learn middle school level science. They're still sweet. They don't smell bad yet. They don't have hormone problems yet. It's just it's a great. In fact, I got a third grade honorary science teacher badge from Salter Elementary in Talladega today. That was outstanding. So I can walk in there with my badge on like I'm a third grade science teacher. But it's a joy to go in there and teach these kids, and they grow up, and they get excited about science, and some of them do what I do. They're working at the National Weather Service somewhere. They're working at the National Severe Storms Lab, and it's great to see the kids grow up, and then I'll teach their kids, and it's a generational thing, so it's outstanding.
Yeah. I think you mentioned earlier just the amount of like maybe guilt may be the wrong word, but you feel like when people do pass away in these storms, obviously you carry that and you strive for that. But take that part aside, because I don't think that goes without saying. But what is the hardest thing about being a meteorologist?
Well, I guess now it's dealing with the trolls and the
Oh, yeah,
haters and the
yeah.
know-it-alls. Oh goodness, today. I'm so busy. I don't have time to think a lot. And so I
I
posted
saw this.
a
I saw.
picture from the Gulf. There's a cruise ship, and I quote people. I just quote it. I don't say anything. I quote what they say, and I didn't even notice it. But the lady called it the Gulf of America, and that set off this political firestorm. So immediately I was called a Nazi, all these phobes, xenophobe,
Be careful waving your
denier.
hand around there; they'll get you.
And then I deleted it because I got sick of it. And then I was called a libtard and a woke and soft and all this other stuff. And we've got a behavioral health problem in this country. It's bad. And I choose to believe that not everybody is some political extremist, but they're horrible people. And they will list your wife's name, your address, your
Yeah.
children's name, and they say you're in grave danger. For example, a lot of people believe that the government's spraying the skies, controlling the weather, controlling our minds with chemtrails, and they're wicked people. I mean, I've turned several. And listen, if you come after my family, you're going straight to law enforcement, and they will come knock on your door at 3 in the morning, and it's not going to be good for you or your family. And I don't mind if you criticize me. That's fine. We need criticism to be better. But I'd say dealing with people that are mentally unstable, that have behavioral health problems, that are online, it's getting to be a problem. And it's even worse for the young women. I can't tell you how bad it is for these young women.
Oh,
The
yeah, I can imagine.
sexual harassment they deal with. What I deal with is nothing compared to what they deal with, and it's just horrible. But having said that, I hate to go, but you know what? I have to go to do the 6 o'clock news that's about to start now. So,
All right,
thanks for
James.
letting me on the show here.
Man, thank you very much, man. Maybe we'll try to do it again another day, but thank you for cutting out some time for us, and we appreciate it. And I'll see you or talk to you later, hopefully, man. Good luck tonight with the newscast.
Great. So what I'll do, I'll stop the recording and I will send this to you.